Let me just tell you right now. This is a must-win for Shanahan, a must-win for Purdy, a must-win for Ayuk, and a must-win for 49er fans. Because they lose this game, Monday's going to be chaotic. It is going to be all-time chaotic. Round the alarms, my pets' heads are falling off, the sirens and everything. They lose this game on. I'm telling you, man.
They lost one game, and you did one interview, and you jumped off the Brock train.
No, I didn't jump off the Brock. Stop caping for Brock. Because the first thing you told me after the Super Bowl, I'll tell you the difference in this game. They have a great quarterback and we don't. That's the first thing you said.
I said they have the greatest. No, I said they have the greatest, which is factually correct.
No, you didn't say that in real time. Factually you said correct. The difference, Bonte. They have a great quarterback. We don't.
But what happened? Okay, literally 10 days ago. Oh my God!
I walked it back on Wednesday. I walked it back. Walked back Wednesday. I walked it back. I was just trying to give Brock some love because my whole point when I told Lubman this, true disclosure. Joe Burrow gets a pass whenever he has a bad game. We will never criticize him whatsoever. But we quick to criticize Lamar. We quick to criticize Dak. We're quick to criticize Jimmy. We're quick to criticize this guy. We never criticize Burrow. Hell, even Josh Allen gets more heat than Joe Burrow. But I walk that back. Joe Burrow's a great quarterback. If I'm a GM and I got a quarterback drafted, it's Purdy or Burrow. Who you taking? I'm probably taking Burrow. There's no doubt about that. But I'm not saying Purdy's trash. But we're hearing now from people after one game. Brian Flores addressed him again. And what's the stat? What's the stat that's been floating all around this weekend when it comes to Jess Schwartz, Spags in Kansas City, Brian Flores in Minnesota? What's Shanahan record? It's not good. It's not pretty at all.
Well, good thing we don't play those three exclusively.
But you got to get through Kansas City. You got to get through. You may have to get through Minnesota. Minnesota may be better. And the thing Kirk said before we get to Patrick Peterson is you look at the tape. If there's a novice football fan looking at football for the first time, the best quarterback on the field was Sam Darnold. Sam Darnold?
Time out. Like, if we were a novice football fan and we were looking at the tape and like I could say that about a lot of quarterbacks. Like there was a point in time when Kansas City lost to the Indianapolis Colts with backup quarterbacks, and that was Mahomes out there. And I love Mahomes.
But you know Mahomes was the real deal.
No, but I'm just saying we could isolate individual games for every one
Purdy's
of the great
not
quarterbacks.
Mahomes. We seen
I'm
this.
not saying he's Mahomes, but I don't think it's fair to take one Sunday. Anything can happen.
Can I be real about something?
He's been good for 30 games.
He has been good for 30 games. But let's go back to Christmas Day.
Okay.
Baltimore. Was he good that day?
No.
Was he good against Green Bay?
The final drive, yes, nothing else. It wasn't good.
First half against Detroit.
Yeah, but the second half was dynamic. Dynamic.
He hasn't put together four quarters. He hasn't put together a great 4 quarters in a very long time.
All right.
It's been a while.
They've played 2 games since that Detroit game.
The Super Bowl. Was he great in the Super Bowl?
No, but it was a Super Bowl.
Right.
I mean,
so that's all I'm saying. I like Brock Purdy a lot. I think he's a really good quarterback. But let's be real.
What's the real part?
The real part is Baltimore, Green Bay, Detroit, the Super Bowl, and last week against Minnesota. In 5 of his last 6 games, it's been suboptimal at the quarterback position.
I don't know about suboptimal, but I would say that like those are also 5 of the top 7 teams in the league. And so I think a lot of quarterbacks are going to look a little shaky. I know that when he went up against Jalen Hurts, he looked freaking way better than Jalen Hurts that day in the rain. He went up against Philadelphia's
defense, which was Swiss cheese. Well, I'm talking about the playoffs.
But if you're going to point to, I'm just saying, if you're going to point to a Sam Darnold game, like he looked better than Aaron Rodgers. I'm looking at the trends, Shasky. He looked better than Aaron Rodgers on Monday Night Football.
I'm looking at the trends. 5 of the last 6 games, he hasn't put together a good 4th quarters. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying.
I think he's a really good player. I don't think he's the best player on the planet.
Now we're all flying off the handle because we're giving Brock Purdy a little bit of criticism. It's okay.
I don't think that's what we're doing at all. I'm saying that like no one's saying he's the greatest player who ever lived, but I also think that he's really good. He had a poor game.
Play it for me, Smith. Play it for me.
Like for me, especially have an opportunity to play against Brock and have an opportunity to game plan against him and watch film, he's almost like it's just their offense. You know, they are an inside the numbers offense, passing game wise. If you look at majority of Brandon Ayuk routes, he's running skinny slants. He's running He's running glance routes, skinny posts. You know, it's very rarely that he's running out routes or Brock Purdy is throwing the ball outside the numbers. So if you're able to pack the middle of the field and force San Francisco 49ers or Brock Purdy to beat you with their left hand, then you can get them in the passing game. But the running game is what sets up the passing game for the San Francisco 49ers, setting up the play actions, setting up the boots, setting up the screens. So that's a task in his own, trying to stop the run. And that's what makes them so lethal, because their running game is so efficient. It just makes everything come together.
Now, that's Patrick Peterson. Here's Kyle Shanahan earlier this week on Brock Purdy.
We never asked Brock to really do too much. We asked him to do the play that's called. If nothing's there, what are your options after that? You scramble, you throw things away. Sometimes you take a sack. Things you always try to do is not turn it over, but nothing really changes when you're missing guys. It's game plan can sometimes change, but not what you ask the quarterback to do.
That's the head coach of the San Francisco 49ers, Kyle Shanahan, saying that we just really don't ask Brock to do too much.
You're taking that very literal. I think a quarterback just by nature. What?
Come on,
what?
Man. The head coach just said that
Well,
the quarterback of the football team.
Yeah,
he literally said it. Hey, where's your Kawakami? You know what? Give me the damn Kawakami cut now. Where Shanahan said, and you even said this. When he sat there with Kawakami and said, well, things change. You know, when we're paying a quarterback $1 million, you're paying a quarterback $50 million. What does it look like? I don't know. And we both said, "Oh, that Shanahan's out in case things go awry."
But here's where.
So don't pick at me.
I'm not picking at you.
This is Jay Gruden. This is Patrick Peterson. This is Kirk Morrison. Okay, this is Kyle Shanahan.
So one bad game and a variety.
It's not just one bad game. It's starting to see the film. They're starting to see a trend.
But a week ago you were feeling really good.
I walked it back Wednesday, Shasky, the Burrow thing.
No,
you want to be picking apart what I'm saying?
Just hear me. No,
you
I am
want me to pick apart
you.
everything that you said? Because you've been wild waffling up Purdy. I'm not saying he's a bum, but I'm saying I'm a little worried about giving him $60 million. Is that okay? Is that okay for me to feel like that? I don't get what's the problem here. What's the problem?
No one says there's a problem. I'm just trying to keep up with where we're at with Brock Purdy. Like I think he's a top 5 to 8 quarterback on any given day. I think on last Sunday it was one of his worst games in the league, and they were still in a position to be there at the end. Now you could say, Joe, Fred Warner made X, Y, and Z plays. All the good quarterbacks, all the great quarterbacks have games that they want back. They all do. And so that's a game he wants back. Let's see how he bounces back. But if we have these same, let's say he plays 7 of those kinds of games, well, then now let's have that conversation. I just think it's a little premature after 1 week against Brian Flores.
You know what? I hope he balls out this Sunday. I really do. I want him to ball out. Now, you know what? The first thing you said in the first hour, I think people are waiting to see Brock Purdy ball without these weapons. Well, you know what? I am now, too. I've been talked into it. No, I got my popcorn ready to go. Now I'm buckled up. I want to see Ayuk and I want to see Purdy, and I want to see if they could be top 5, top 10 players. We got shameless shout-outs coming up, right?
No, we're going to push it. So before we do this, I want to give a shout-out. Today is Rye Guy, Ryan Moylan's birthday, 6 years old.
Rye Guy, happy birthday, buddy.
And he's going to, guess where he wants to do for his birthday tomorrow?
What does he want to do?
Go to the batting cages.
Oh, that's awesome.
Little Rye Guy. Happy birthday,
little
buddy.
Rye Guy. Happy birthday, little Rye Guy.
Love that little guy.
Happy birthday.
LJ says he's better than you, though.
Oh, my gosh. I also have another shout-out, too. I have another shout-out as well.
Yeah, well, I want to go to the lines.
I'm going to shout out the new CFO of the Golden State Warriors, Josh Proctor.
Oh.
He's been named Bay Area CFO of the Year in the non-public company category by the San Francisco Business Times. It was announced. That's right. Bay Area, he's CFO for the Golden State Warriors. Named Bay Area CFO of the Year. And I got a little tip here from Raymond Ritter that he's not good enough to be an athlete beyond elementary school, but he's one hell of a CFO. One hell of a CFO. CFO of the Year in the Bay Area. That's a big accomplishment for you, Josh. So shout out to him as well.
I just look at it like this. I don't think the measurements on a lot of these things is one game dependent. And it's one game is going to change my view. With the same way with Chase Young.
It's not changing my view.
I'm not saying you, but I'm just talking about myself.
I'm
talking about myself. So Chase Young had a great Super Bowl. I think the body of work he had as a Niner wasn't that great. I look at the body of work from Brock Purdy. It's been pretty good. Do I think he's the best quarterback in the league? No. Where's it going to come down financially? I don't know. That's why I kind of want to see this year. And that's why, even though I'm a big Brock enthusiast, I think he can do it this week. I think there is a big part of the organization and a lot of fans. Let's see what it looks like. I'm fascinated to see what it looks like. I think he can do it, but to say that I'm completely out on the way Shanahan plays football and all this, I just think they've been too successful for me to entertain that. If we have multiple down months, now I'll start listening to it. But I think they've been way too successful for me to all of a sudden jump off that ship.
I don't think anybody's jumping off the ship. Nobody's jumping off the ship. But it is alarming how all this stuff is coming out here. And they're going to win a lot of games because they win on first and second down, and the run game is great. But it is alarming to hear these people starting to come out saying, hey, look, man, this is what the offense has been. And when we think about the biggest moments for this football team, They've come up short because of the lack of a passing game, the drop back passing game, the vertical passing game. What Patrick Peterson say? They don't really run 9 balls. They don't really run go routes. They don't do that. They don't stretch the field. And I think about safeties and corners saying, you know what, let's press. Let's play within a 15-yard radius. I think about the LA Rams game down at SoFi. I know people are going to say, well, it's Jimmy a quarterback. But they say, you know what, shut down the run. Eric Weddle, you're going to play linebacker, and we're going to stuff the run and make them throw it over the top. And they were unable to do that.
But
and
this
so
is
when
where
I think
I have
about
a frustration,
and
though.
so when I look at these games, and I look at, okay, if there's a missing piece, because like the great quarterbacks, they can overcome a missing piece. We had 17-17-17 last year, right?
Okay.
They're missing Trent and Debo. They're missing Christian McCaffrey. So they missed McCaffrey week 1. They won against the Jets, but I think the Jets will be better down the stretch. Last week, they missed McCaffrey. The offense was struggling. So
okay,
I'm
that I agree with. But
that's
Vontae
all
also,
I'm
like,
saying.
if they stop Mahomes on 4th and 2, I don't think everyone's coming out of the woodworks questioning the entire operation.
When if the offense scored more points in regulation in the first half, in the third quarter,
Well, I mean,
we may not have a 4th and 2.
For every
We keep
game you
putting it
lose.
on the defense. They're the offense.
No, but
scuffle.
what I'm saying is that, like, if you win, I don't think any of these things come. I also think that Shanahan has a hit list of guys he's destroyed that are out there that don't like him. And that's fair. Like, when you're coaching a long time, you're going to have some rivals out there. And just because the way you do things isn't the way they do things doesn't mean you can't be wildly successful. Right? So like Bill Parcells, I don't think his offense was anything spectacular, but he played football his way with a defensive brand of football. Bill Walsh played football his way. I think styles makes fights. Well, and clearly against Brian Flores, Brian's got his number. Like he's winning those fights individually. But Schwartz. I think that the Niners have won a lot of fights their way. I don't think it's perfect, but it's pretty good.
Nobody's disputing that whatsoever. Didn't say that at all. But it is alarming that we keep talking about the passing game, how it can evolve. And, boy, these guys who are in the film room a lot longer than we are, Shasky, are noticing trends and situations here saying, man, will it catch up? And what Morrison say? The glass slipper Cinderella? Is the hill going to break? All right, let's go to the calls. Mario Jacksonville, what's up?
Hey, Mario.
Hey, guys, hey, how you doing? Thank you for taking my call. I love you guys' show. Man, I got a question because we've been talking about Brock Purdy getting this money and whether or not he deserve it or not deserve it, how good or how bad he plays. When we had Jimmy O-Nose in there, he was throwing. He might have been doing it. Doesn't Kyle Shanahan not like for his quarterbacks to go against what he's trying to get them to get out there and do? So shouldn't Kyle Shanahan take more of the blame with his system and his quarterback about how they perform out there? Especially listening to some of the callers that you guys had, your guest callers, about they got a system, they stay within the lines on the field and stuff like that. So if you can defeat the concept of Kyle Shanahan, how can Brock Purdy to show us that he deserves a $60 million contract if it's Kyle Shanahan's system that he runs? And Kyle wants you to run his system the way he wants you to run his system. How can we truly know if Brock Purdy is going to be a $60 million quarterback or not? If we put any other quarterback in Kyle Shanahan's system, they may not be as good because they're going to try to improvise out there. They're going to use their instincts. They're going to run. They're going to do this more stuff like that. How can Brock Purdy show us if you're in Kyle's system and Kyle wants you to run it exactly the way he wants you? This should be open over here, Birdie. This should be open over there, Purdy. And I just want to know if you guys can answer that question right there.
See, I think that's an interesting question. So, like, is he only worth a certain amount of money in this system versus another? Well, unless you have, grandiose plans of firing Shanahan, I think it's pretty obvious that he runs the system better than anyone has during Kyle's tenure here.
Yep, there's no doubt.
And so if you think there's value in that and they think that it's worth whatever, 55, 60, whatever the number is, well, then I think you do it. I think you execute it.